As Youngin mentioned, my name is Lola Oyelayo-Pearson. I head up consumer and commerce product at Mysten Labs. And I'm delighted to welcome Claire Hungate, who is COO and president of Team Liquid. And to kick things off, we're going to introduce you to Team Liquid.
What is legacy? Is it championships? Is it breaking records? Is it defying the odds?
Intel Grand Slam, Team Liquid! Expectations be damned!
Or is it leading a community from the beginning? Legacy comes from the ground up. Before we were a team, we were a forum for those who loved the game, for those who studied the game, and of course, for those who compete.
Really hard, you have to have that fire within.
Esports has always been in our DNA, but back then, we were the underdogs. Our start was small. We kept to our roots. But with one of the biggest team-ups in esports history, we grew. We grew into a home for the dark horses, for the rising stars, for the legends, already born. Once we found our footing, we struck gold. We reached summits we could hardly believe. We created dynasties unrivaled. We set records still unbroken. We did it all in style. Raising the bar for our industry by moving from gaming house to state-of-the-art facilities in 3 different continents. Like any team, we take our losses. Those failures, they are part of the legacy too. Because our legacy is more than just gold. It's more than content, more than competition, more than community. What is legacy? Come find out.
I love that video.
I know we can both go home now. I think that said it all.
The video's done it. So we're going to go into our panel, but I guess just to kind of close the energy that came through that video, can you tell the audience the games that you guys participate in as an esports team?
Yes, I won't go through all of them, but the top 4 tier 1 games, League, Dota, Valorant, Counter-Strike, we pretty much won every single major in all of those. And then we also play in lots of the kind of tier 2 and 3 games like World of Warcraft, Smash, Tekken, Street Fighter. So we're in about 16 different rosters, I think, across multiple regions, North America, Europe, and South America. We don't play in any Asian leagues yet. Yet, I say.
So for those of you with kids, godchildren, nephews and nieces, stop telling them to stop playing video games because they might make a career out of it. So Claire, let's kick us off. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be the COO and president of an esports team.
So I mean, my background is in what I will rudely call legacy media. So my background is in TV production. So I helped grow a TV production company in the UK, which became global. We sold it to Warner Brothers, but I became kind of slightly frustrated with the refusal of most networks, TV producers, broadcasters to want to recognize the potential of digital. They took their eye off the ball and technology came along suddenly, and what they did and how they made and distributed content suddenly was overtaken by technology and audiences moved online. And I became very frustrated with the fact that that was kind of considered a second-class citizen. All you ever wanted was for your show to get on telly. And that was the main business model. And so I decided I wanted to try something different. I wanted to move into the digital sector. I wanted to understand how audiences consumed content, where they consumed it, and most importantly to me, because I'm a commercial beast, I wanted to understand how you monetize that content. So I moved into social media and started running a social media producer and digital marketing agency. And then from there was approached to work in esports. And so the kind of narrative I put through my career really is following the audience, I suppose, from, ultimately TV is a dying audience, whether we like it or not. It hasn't quite fallen off a cliff yet because it's such an old audience. So I sit on the board of the BBC. Our average viewer on BBC One, which is the main public service broadcaster, is 70 years old. The average age of a viewer of Channel 4's youth channel is 45 years old. So that audience isn't falling off a cliff yet, but it's definitely dying. And so for me, gaming is the most engaged, the most organic audience you can possibly find at a time when everyone wants to go direct to consumer, and that is the future. Gaming is where you can do that.
Incredible. The audience here is thankfully a lot younger and not yet dying. Obviously, you're thankfully, you are a woman in esports. Esports is typically male-dominated, but I actually noticed in the video you had a women's team, and I wouldn't expect you needed gendered teams in esports. So why do you have a women's team playing, I think it's Valorant in Brazil?
We have an amazing women's Valorant team who are unbeaten in Brazil. Earlier this year, actually, they got through into one of the men's leagues and beat quite a lot of male teams as well. They're an incredible team. Our aspiration is to have mixed-gendered teams. We're not quite there yet. Women haven't been playing video games long enough. There isn't a big enough volume of women for them to be in that, whatever it is, top 0.1 of the population who are good enough to be professional gamers at that very, very top level. And so that, is definitely our aspiration to have mixed teams. But at the moment, we support our women's team who are incredible and play at an incredibly high standard.
Okay, so second moral lesson for today. Stop discouraging your friends, your female friends, your nieces, your daughters from playing video games because. Okay, so let's focus a little bit on Team Liquid. And I have some stats here. So you guys are one of the oldest esports teams and the most successful. You're the most watched team. You've won the most championships. You've won the most prize money, got the most athletes. You're on 3 continents, highest revenue, and the largest fan base. What's it like to run an esports organization with this level of accomplishment for so long?
For me, coming into esports was a challenge because I wasn't a gamer and I didn't know that much about esports. And so, I've learned that it's still a very immature market. We compare ourselves to legacy sports. Manchester United are 125 years old. We're 24, 25 years old and only about 20 years of that playing esports. So it's a maturing market. It is still immature in many ways and, certainly the commercial models, etc. So I've learnt an awful lot, I would say. And so that's, incredibly important to me in my career is to be able to learn an awful lot, but then also to bring some of the knowledge I have from the very mature markets that I've worked in and about scaling businesses. So it's definitely a roller coaster. We go in and out of rosters all the time. If a roster doesn't make commercial sense, if as the ecosystem changes and grows and develops, we will move out of that roster. So we came out of Apex Legends about a year ago. We might go back into Apex Legends. We came out of PUBG about 18 months ago. We've just gone back into PUBG Mobile. So, we are constantly going in and out of rosters, making business decisions and athletics decisions like a soccer team would. We sign players, we have them on contracts. Long term, we have mental coaches, we have physical coaches, we have analysts, we have data analysts. It's an incredibly serious business, and our teams play at absolutely top level.
And obviously, you don't make the games, right? So typically, you would say in gaming, we're talking to the game designers, the game developers, and revenue makes sense. So how does the business model work when you're an esports team without a physical stadium, right? No one's buying tickets, or are they buying tickets to come and watch? Like, how are you guys monetizing the esports model?
Yeah, it was slightly alien to me coming from TV production when most of your money comes from the ownership of IP, the same as gaming, you create an IP and you exploit that IP as widely as you possibly can for as long as you possibly can, and then you come into esports and you don't own anything other than your brand. But what we do own is audience, huge audience, organic audience, audiences that come back to our social channels every day, that are part of on our Discord servers, are talking about us on Reddit, that live and breathe Team Liquid. And that is hugely valuable. But as Lola said, what we didn't have was a stadium. We spoke to our audience largely through third-party platforms. So although it was our audience, they were our fans, we didn't really own them. We didn't have a direct connection to them. And interestingly, we always lived by this illusion that legacy sports, sorry, I rudely call it legacy sports, no offense to anyone, but had connected with their audience because they had stadiums. But then I don't know how many people heard the guy from the Golden State Warriors yesterday saying 99% of their fans will never go to a match. Yeah. And so we really felt this lack of the stadium environment, the lack of that direct connection to our fans, that even though we were digital and our audience was natively digital and came to us organically, we didn't have a direct connection to them. And so about 4 years ago, we began developing a product that we called Liquid Plus, which was a fan engagement platform. And the idea of that is it would be our virtual stadium.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Liquid Sports, because I think some of the stats are, with Liquid Sports, you've seen a huge increase in engagement, something like 71% more viewers on streams and games. So how have you developed this virtual stadium to become an engagement hook for the community and the audience?
Yeah, so, just kind of following through the point I was making earlier about not having IP. So we don't have IP, but what we have is audience. And so that direct connection is really important. And, I always say that the value of Team Liquid is really proportionate to the size of that audience. How big and how engaged is that audience, and how can we monetize them? And so, the other complicated thing about the esports audience is there is no such thing as an esports audience. There's a League audience, and there's a Counter-Strike audience, and a Valorant audience, and a World of Warcraft, and they don't really interact very much or cross over. And so one of the interesting things for us about Liquid Plus was the challenge of how do we get the audience to stick to Team Liquid? How do we get fans of World of Warcraft to be fans of Team Liquid? And it's an incredibly matrixed audience because you have the different games, you have the different regions, and then you have the players. So people tend to stick to the game and the player before they stick to us as an organization. So Liquid Plus was all about, we can bring people in at the top of the funnel by winning. And, the two most important elements of our strategy is, first of all, competitive success, and two, deepening and strengthening the tether between Team Liquid and our fans. And so Liquid Plus was all about bringing them in at the top by winning, and then bringing them into the funnel and making them a super fan. And obviously the value of a super fan is much larger than the value of a casual fan. But sorry, what we've managed to do with Liquid Plus is actually move people much more convincingly between games, because Liquid Plus rewards people for their activity. So we can reward them for tweeting us, we can reward them for being in our Discord server, we can reward them for watching our streams of our players and our creators on Twitch, we can reward them for watching our games on YouTube, for watching our videos on YouTube. We reward them with points, and then they can redeem those points. So what we've managed to do is, by tracking them on there, is be able to tell that actually we've been able to move people from League to Counter-Strike, or from Counter-Strike to World of Warcraft. So taken away that very clear division between games and made people much more fans of the range of games that we play, and therefore fans of Team Liquid, which then hopefully makes them fans for life.
I mean, I'm imagining, and I love the vision of, we kind of all have the stereotype of the gamer bro who's kind of sitting in the dark in the basement in their house in front of this kit. But the Liquid Plus actually allows them to kind of show up in a slightly different way. There's like this community element, and I believe it allows them to connect with other people, have chats, play games, even do proof of attendance stuff. So it sounds like it humanizes the gamer again a little bit more. Why blockchain then? What, if you've got this platform, it's doing really well, it's off-chain. What led you to think about putting some of that on-chain, or what specifically about Sui were you guys interested in exploiting to add to that mix?
Well, we know gamers love to collect digital items. They've been doing it for years, collecting skins, trading skins, displaying their skins and their wares. They're competitive. They want to show off to people. It's part of the DNA of gaming. And obviously our brand is really, really important to us as well. And so what we are doing with Sui is people will be able to create their digital avatar, which is a blue.
I love blue.
Who is our mascot. And because we're building on Sui and the NFT is immutable and dynamic, you can keep changing your avatar. You can nest the different elements of it. So you take your avatar, you might win a sword, you might exchange your points for a sword or a shield, a pistol. We're not sure about pistols and cute little blue, to be honest. So we've never actually given blue a pistol, but who knows what might happen. But so you can start nesting those objects with your digital item. You can display it across your socials. We might even start putting it in different Web3 games. But you can display it, you can own it. We have all the flexibility that the Sui blockchain gives us. We have the simplicity of ZK login, for instance, and as you know, we're looking at Inoki as well. So it's the flexibility, the simplicity, the ability for us to gamify and allow our fans to do what they love doing, which is collecting, showing off.
And I guess there's a bit of an overlap between, say, communities who are very blockchain aware and crypto native and gamers. But would you say that the Team Liquid fan community is more like a little bit, wary of blockchain, or do you think they're going to be grabbing a hold of these opportunities with both hands, or maybe everything in between?
So, we've done a lot of focus testing. We are hugely, hugely careful with our audience. As I said, it's our most important asset. We're incredibly protective of our brand. Team Liquid are a very values-driven organization. We always have been. We're about kind of inclusivity, whereas a lot of our competitors are about exclusivity. You have to be cool to be part of this esports org. That's not Team Liquid. We call ourselves a home for the peculiarly passionate. Whatever you're peculiarly passionate about, you are welcome at Team Liquid. So we're incredibly careful about who we partner with, about what we do, about what we roll out to our fans. So we've focus group tested with our fans. Yeah. We communicate, we over-communicate. We know that they are interested in the utility and value of blockchain, but we know that they don't want to be ripped off, and that we know that they have been before. And so they are wary. They want to know what the utility and value is, but we know that there are a large number of them that are open to innovation and getting closer to the brand. So we will be careful about how we roll it out and how we roll out the features. And we know that there are some features that will apply and be more interesting to some of those real kind of hardcore tech blockchain fans that we know we have. But yes, generally our audience are more tech savvy than others. Yeah. They're very, very data aware as well.
I think this is what makes me super excited to work with Team Liquid is we have the spectrum of everyone's a really interested gaming fan, but they are new to blockchain, they're new to crypto, they don't want to have things rammed down their throats. And we have this incredible platform where we can experiment, explore, and we can gently onboard people. And we can introduce kind of the other end, which is here's a bunch of cool shit you can do because it's on a blockchain that you probably couldn't do if it wasn't. And there's going to be a bunch of cool stuff coming out later this year, maybe, as we experiment with that a bit more. So I guess the gamification lends itself naturally to the Team Liquid business model. You are a gaming esports team, and so gamifying engagement makes sense. What's the kind of business outcome that you as COO and a non-gamer are really driving here? Like, how do you measure success at the end of the day and determine whether this is working or not working for you?
As I said earlier, this is an immature market, and whereas in sports there's a kind of very clear calculation of LTV.
Lifetime value, for those who are not familiar.
We don't have people that have memberships to season tickets to our stadium. We don't have people that come into a stadium and spend $500 buying tickets and hot dogs. And so those business models and those revenue streams around esports are growing and maturing. So it's more difficult for us at the moment to calculate that lifetime value. Mm-hmm. But we certainly know that once we can get people into the funnel, once we can make them Team Liquid fans, that we can create multi-generational fandom. And ultimately, that's what we need to create sustainable business. I live near the Arsenal Emirates Stadium. If you live within 5 miles of that stadium, your children, your dog, your uncle, your grandpa, your grandmother, they are Arsenal fans. They are born Arsenal fans. They live and die Arsenal fans.
No one should be an Arsenal fan.
So we don't have that in esports. We have to make them fans by winning, by branding, by making them love us.
Yeah.
And these are all the things we do to create that fandom. But we know that ultimately that direct-to-consumer revenue is going to be incredibly important to us. That the size of our audience drives our sponsorship revenue. It drives our apparel revenue. If we ever used a subscription model, it would drive our subscription revenue. All those revenue streams are dependent on the size and the engagement of our fans and our audience.
Incredible. Thank you.
Bye.